Welcome back, everybody, to the League of Inches podcast. Myself, Joel, and Jesse along for this one. It's a Supercoach episode / team list. So the way we do it, we'll go through each team's list for the week, obviously, and then just talk about it from a Supercoach point of view as well. We've decided today a bit of chit chat. We're going to start to spread open a lot of our content as well. We've found that pretty much bunched to the two sort of days, really. So we're going to try and expand a little bit. So trades and stuff, you've noticed I haven't asked for them today. It's going to actually be tomorrow's show. So for those listening this morning on the Wednesday, to not confuse everyone, it will be filmed on the Wednesday afternoon / night. And then it will be, you'll be able to listen to it Thursday morning. So this is another little bit of content there. And we're discussing some stuff around possibly a Sunday or Monday night show. But I'll give you a bit more about that one over the next week or two, and we've come to an agreement sort of there with how to do things, because it is a lot to do as well, guys, with the podcast. That's why, and I'll plug it now, become a subby, help support the page moving forward on a financial level. We don't have any sponsorships in that either. So if you are interested in sponsoring the page moving forward, you get plenty of plugs, etc. We're happy to talk to you, have a small or large, you want to either be financial, prizes, giveaways, etc. Please reach out to myself on the page, DM, Instagram, Facebook. There's an email you can find on the Instagram page as well if you want to send it an email. Happy to have a chat with you, give you a buzz and go from there as well. But Jesse, it's been a big week with Supercoach. We're sort of both riding high this week. It's actually nice to be us for once. It was some good scores on the weekend. I got, basically, you see in the post, I'll celebrate. I won all my head-to-heads and I won all my draft head-to-heads as well. So I was cheering this week. So my points was 1,346, top 4% for the round. So I'll take that. Then my overall score, 8,364, and season rank 28,447. So climbed about 19,000 spots just off last week alone. I finally got the Heinz captaincy right after we spoke about it the week before, and it bit us on the arse. I just keep thinking about what could have been if we did it 2 weeks in a row. We'd be right up there in the thick of things. But how are you going?
Yeah, good, man. Yeah, it's finally nice to have a really good week. I haven't had too many
Be
this
positive.
year. Yeah, it's nice to go into one of these and actually be positive about it for once. So yeah, I was just behind you, 1326. Captain Hines, top 6% score, which was nice. I climbed a lot actually this week. I climbed up almost 12,000 spots, 16,705. So a bit higher than you still, but yeah, no, the my overall score's 8,503. So I went into last week too. I wasn't super confident either. Like I was sort of content. I was happy with the side enough. They're doing well. Like I can't say they're doing really bad. There's just occasionally you just get one or two that kind of ruin it for the rest of them. That Ponga captaincy really screwed us too. Like I feel like if we just captain Hines, man, who knows? Who knows where we'd be? That's an extra 140, 50 points that we could have got. So it was massive to miss out on. But I
200.
won pretty much. Yeah, there you go. Well, I won 5 out of my 6 head-to-heads. I did lose one of my cash league ones too to a 1,403, I think it was. I was spewing about that.
Fair play.
And yeah, you know what? Like GG, fair enough. You score 1,400, you don't want to lose with it. So with the drafts though, in my Gidley draft, not the League of Inches one, we run a short comp, like a short team as well. So it's not as many players in the League of Inches one that we actually run with. No captaincy as well, so it's pretty raw. And I scored 932. It was domination. It was insane. It was like for other leagues, 932 might be attainable, but that will probably be one of the highest scores of the year with the format. And yeah, not very nice watching the rescores come through after the Sharks game. I was out in the city on Sunday, and I was sitting about 40, I think it was 41 or 42 points ahead in the League of Inches draft, and I thought, yeah, I got this. So I was pretty far ahead at that point. Fella had Ramian and Blake Brayley, and I was thinking, okay, they both did quite well, but I'm hundreds ahead by now. Like I'm fine. Flash forward to the rescores. About a 43-point swing goes back his way. I lose by 1 point, and I'm thinking, what happened? Like, where did these points come from? I had a look. Now, listen here, Sangster. You're doing these scorings. I don't know if you've got Blake Brayley in your team, mate. Where did those 2 try assists come from? I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious. I wanna know.
Let us know in the comments.
Let us know in the comments. There was no try assist. He had no attacking stats in any format, yet he was awarded 2 try assists, and I lost my draft because of it. So, thanks. Thanks a bunch. Stoked about that. 1 point loss. I lose to you with a Ponga injury by a fucking handful of points too. It's just not happening
The
for me at the
draft
moment.
king
The draft
is
is
slipping.
just the draft is my pride and joy too, and it's just it's slipping between my fingers, eh? It's not nice. 1 point, you know what? Belt me by 300, but if I lose to rescores by 1, oh, I'm not a happy chappy. It's not fun, but,
Right.
take the wins where you get them.
Guys, he's actually feeling it with this one. It has affected him since it happened, and he has not been able to get over it, as you can tell. But yeah, let us know in the comments where the Brayley 2 tries is going, just to rub salt in the wounds for Jesse, because he'll be reading the comments now. He'll be refreshing
I
the
will.
page tomorrow, just waiting for everyone's replies. Let's get into some team list action. There's not much, but there is a little bit to talk about as well at the same time. It's a weird week. Supercoach wise, team list wise, it's an odd week. And I don't know if it's because my team's not playing, so I can feel like I can breathe this week after being a horror run for Parramatta. But first game, the Thursday night, South Sydney Rabbitohs versus the Penrith Panthers. Obviously, fresh off the news tonight that JD has been sacked from the South Sydney Rabbitohs. So interim coach for the Bunnies this week is Ben Hornby. Let's see what happens. The team list. So Tane Milne, honestly, the guy should probably be rubbed out of the game at this point. Just so much stupidity in his game at the moment. It's just ridiculous. Too much band sees Isaac Thompson come onto the wing. Tom Burgess shifts back to the bench with Davey Moale starting at prop. And Keon Koloamatangi is again in the front row. Weirdly, but anyway, with Michael Cheekham starting in the second row. I'm going to go back to that one, but first for the Panthers, Sania Taruva returns to the back line after having that crazy week off after signing a rich deal, and you'd think he'd be on cloud 9, but apparently, according to his coach, Ivan Cleary, was really affected by it. Make of that what you will. Paul Alamotti makes way. Already had a couple of people reach out saying, is he a buy this week? Definitely not. Moses Loader is back as well. From his shoulder injury, which I believe means there is no room for Henry. Liam Henry isn't in the team for the Penrith Panthers. He's actually not even in the reserve. So that might be an injury. I haven't checked their New South Wales Cup side, but that might be an injury. I'm not too sure. So we'll check that out. I'll let you know tomorrow's show. But yeah, for the Bunnies, the Keon Koloamatangi one, like I don't think many people have him this year in Supercoach at the moment, just because of how South Sydney are going. But I don't like it. Like even if you were entertaining it, I've read pens through his name at the moment while he's in the front row for mine.
Well, I'm looking at it a bit of a different way, to be honest with you, man. I would love a dual position Koloamatangi, to be honest with you. I would love it.
Yeah, okay.
I would love it. I hope he gets another game there, to be honest with you, man. Because, like, I don't know how long the experiment's going to last for. To be fair, I didn't really watch too much of it last week to see if he actually scored quite well or not. But yeah, look, I'll take a duel where I can get one. Definitely, he scored 50 points. He's 567. Yeah, if that becomes a dual position, he goes back into the second row. Yeah, jumping on that, of course, every day of the week. I don't really know the reasoning to why he's starting in the props, but they got Dry Arrow back. He's coming back through as well, so you never know if it's just a temporary thing and they're just waiting until he's got his legs back, or who knows. But
Just
yeah,
shows
I
you
think
how
what needs
much the
one.
Sean Kepi signing's been a failure for him and hasn't lived up to what they've needed, because you'd think he'd be there ahead of Koloamatangi. So
Well, when was he ever really lighting the world on fire though? You know, like it was always just to
Yeah.
fill a squad player. I don't really see him being anyone, elite for him in the first place. Like Kolomatangi on his day is insane. Like he's a monster. Last year I wanted him so many times too. Like he was just killing it. It never happened for me, but I always watched him and I always saw his scores go up and up and up. And I thought it's just not lining up for me. But I think yeah, if he goes down anymore, mid 500s at the moment, you can get him for cheap. He only needs one more game, and then the updates are around 12, so it's not far away. Um, if he does get a duel, he's going to be hot on my radar, even if he's still in the still at prop. To be fair, yeah, just a
Just away
cheeky
from
one.
Supercoach quickly, just to touch on this for a second as well. I
Mm,
know we're liking it because of the front row
yeah,
forward duel that could happen. But when I look at this, and so many teams, I don't know why they do this. It takes like a good player who's Kolomatangi is for mine the top 5 second rowers in the game, and he can single handedly pretty much win South Sydney a game off some of his performances in the past. Just how good he is at running over, say that playmaker, etc., or that lazy sort of second rower that's opposite
mm,
him. I just don't get the whole change him like, and then moving Cheekham, who is nowhere near the quality player that Kalamatangi is. Like
yeah,
as you sort of alluded to, like there must be other people there that could just do a job in that
yeah,
front row position. Like as you said, Gyro's back now; he can play middle. Talis Duncan, I don't know what has happened with there. There's obviously been a falling out with JD because last year and during the off season, we're all predicting he was to probably at least have a bench role that would come on and
mm,
play some middle and stuff. And it's become non-existent. The way I think the game's going, and we've seen it from the Dolphins and stuff, they're playing a lot of, and the Bulldogs, playing a lot more of those smaller men in the middle and just really getting teams when they're fatigued around that sort of
yeah.
25 to 30 minute mark. Maybe even do that. I hate seeing someone like Keon Kalamatangi, who's a clear gun in his position, getting thrown basically to the wolves and taking that like that hit up off the kick and stuff. That's not him.
No, not at all. Too, and you got Tom Burgess on the bench. Um, like, why isn't he starting there? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you've got Cheekham, who's been just okay, fair enough. He might be, you know, reliable enough that they have, resorted to playing him where they need to for the last couple of years because they've played him everywhere. Because he's a bit of a utility at the end of the day. But that's the thing. Like you've still got someone like Talis Duncan in the reserves not playing. You've got Kolomatangi out of position. You've got props on the bench that are, ready to go there. I don't understand it. I really don't. And I think we might see some changes happen again to this side in the next few
I
weeks
was going to say it'd be
after
interesting that even check this week now that Ben Hornby's there and no JD.
yeah.
If there was things going on with like Duncan, maybe there'll be a late change. He'll come in off the extended bench. So just keep an eye on that, guys.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Uh, Penrith.
But yeah, for Penrith, yeah, well, Taruva's back in. That's probably the only real standout to look at. Obviously, last week is full of contract talks. It makes sense too. Like in Ivan Cleary's position that he's in, like there was a lot of noise around it. You saw the same thing with Luai when he signed as well. Everyone's talking about it, and I think regardless of the player, when you get someone leaving Penrith in general, especially after the amount of success they've had, it's always going to generate a bit of just a bit of noise, a bit of talk about him. They've got enough depth there. Like Alamoti's been solid in the 2 games that he's played. They could probably afford to give him a week off. Like they were always going to win. I felt like it was a pretty comfortable one for him to let him sit out. It wasn't anything. Just give him the week. Let him compose himself. Don't give any unnecessary pressure too, because you see him. He runs out, and then everyone's going to be talking about him going to the Tigers, this new contract. He does one thing wrong, he makes an error, and all of a sudden, he's going to fit right in at the Tigers. So just yeah, let him have the week off. Why not? But I won't understand the signing. I don't know why people are rushing out to join the Tigers on next to no money. But yeah, it was a weird one. Won't won't really get that until next season, I think. Besides that, yeah, I haven't heard anything about Liam Henry being out. I did see that he was out,
Yeah.
but I'm not too sure the reason why. Rest of the side looks good.
Me either.
Mm,
Crazy. Next game, the Friday game, Manly versus the Canberra Raiders. Fresh off the news, I believe Daly Cherry Evans has been successful with his downgrade, so isn't missing any weeks. So big. Personally, I just think for that tackle, whether he's a good guy or not, and hasn't got prize, I think you should at least be getting a week or two for that sort of a tackle. That could have easily gone pear shaped. And everyone knows me by now. I'm not a huge Sean Lane fan, but that could have been a very, very dangerous tackle. And there was two people in that tackle that contributed. To let him off, I just think sends the wrong message. Like a person out there, general public, just because they're never committed a crime before, if they go out and kill someone, they're going to have the punishment of being a murderer. You can't. The cops aren't going to say, "No, you know what? You're being a good citizen. You can have this one off. You're all good." Nah, like I just think
Oh,
even. Oh, here we go. Disagree. Come on. It's what the
look,
fans want.
I'm not the biggest Cherry Evans fan in the world. You know what I mean? I'm not going to stick up for him and defend him, but at the same time, I can see how he got the charge downgraded. Like, essentially, he was in the
Uh,
tackle. Olakau'atu's come in, pretty much instigated the whole flip. Cherry Evans was in the tackle. Like, I don't think he went in with the intention to dunk him on his own head himself. But at the same time, I think it happened quick enough to the point where what else was he going to do? He's already in the tackle. Like, he's not going to fight against Olakau'atu to try and flip him back on his feet. He just got flipped up and everyone got tangled. But I don't think, yeah, okay, fair enough. He's got a good record and he hasn't done it before. You know, it doesn't excuse the fact if he was at fault, he's got to be punished for it. But I don't think the intention from Cherry Evans was there to do that kind of tackle in general. And I think you can pretty much point the blame at Olakau'atu for majority of it. Whether or not, it's because Cherry Evans got underneath and it kind of assisted him flipping him over, I don't think had Olakau'atu not come into the tackle, it wouldn't have happened like that at all. At all, not even close. So I understand how we got the week off, or the 2 week suspension off, to downgrade it to basically nothing. But yeah, that's my piece. I don't hate the decision, to be honest with you, man. It makes sense to me. It does. So
as a turbo owner, I'm very happy, but that's a super coach point of view looking at it. So
Gary don't know.
Daly Cherry Evans is in. So no need to think about Jacob Arthur coming in there. Ethan Bullymore takes the starting back row spot from Hamole Olakau'atu, who has accepted that 2-match ban. And Tafoa Sipley returns from a knee injury onto the bench. For the Raiders, though, this is where we start to see the things that we've spoken about in the past, and where maybe one of my trades might lean to this week, even though it's not an urgent thing because he's not playing now, so he's not going to lose cash. But Chevy Stewart and James Schiller have both been basically dropped. They'll say rested and stuff, but it is dropping. I think Ricky's just looking out for his younger guys, but yeah, it is dropping. Albert Hopewadi into fullback with Nick Kotrick on the other wing. We all predicted this at the start of the year. We're not very surprised. I think it's more annoying, if anything, that it has actually happened now, that we were hoping for some cashiers. And we got some good cash out of James Schiller, so it's not the worst thing if you do get out now and go to someone. If you can make things work to go up to one of those big guys, then definitely probably do so. Apart from that, Elliot Whitehead returns, which means Simi Sasagi drops out from the side as well. So we basically already spoke. So not much else to talk about for Manly, but for the Raiders, obviously those key changes there, Jesse, does that sort of impact your Supercoach side? I personally have Schiller. Still don't know what to do with him. As I said, he's not going to leak cash at the moment, so it's not like an urgent thing if you can name a good backline, which I still can. But it's just annoying.
Yeah, it is. You know what? I think it's actually the best case scenario for Schiller to be dropped entirely. I'm so glad he is, to be fair. Like, I was looking at moving him this week. I've got Ethan Strange too. I think, like most people do, he's got about 100 and something break even. So, yeah, ideally it was, yeah, if you can do something with that coin, he's obviously going to go backwards from here. But yeah, I was also worried that I don't want to have to, boost up and try and get both of them out this week if I can avoid it. Now Schiller's dropped. Yeah, I'm laughing. That's given me another week. Sweet reprieve, which is good. I've also got, Smithies and Danny Levi. So like most, there's a fair few floating around. I think it's probably a good time to jump off anyway for a couple of these guys if your only intention was cash, but they do play the buy. But it is a bit of a strange one, to be honest with you, man. I did have a quick look at the team list earlier today, and I saw Hopewadi was named. I expected him to be named regardless, but named a fullback was a little bit different. Considering
Mm.
he's been trusting Sebastian Chris with that role, and Hopewadi's been in the centres, um, just to flip him, just to swap him around, and put Hopewadi at fullback. I thought it was a bit unusual. But obviously he's got to swing the axe, man. 40-0 at home. And then the only big loss they had was Fogarty, but like it's a huge loss in hindsight, looking back. Like their kicking game was nowhere. The amount of management that Fogarty does in that side, and all of a sudden you lose him, and you have to resort to Kyo Weeks. It's kind of a reject from Manly in general. Not lighting the world up in New South Wales Cup, and then you're losing your best player. So like good luck to him. It's not a nice position to be shafted into, but he's playing his old club, so you'd hope he does something relevant out of it. But it's just a bit of chopping and changing. I don't think there's much stability in the back line regardless. I think Manly's gonna do a number on them again. Don't know how much
I
more
want
chopping you
to,
can do.
yeah, it's, I don't know. I think this is now the time to start to get off these Raiders players. And I want to actually ask you about Morgan Smithies, who was very popular, who still is very popular. It,
Mhm.
it sort of came to my mind today, not today, pretty much just then on the podcast when we're talking about stuff because I haven't had time to really look at some trades yet. But let me go through his scores. So 58, 49, 38, 43, 69, 68, 45, 45. So look, and the 69 and 68 is a real obviously standout, but that's probably his ceiling. And that's not, I don't feel like that's a ceiling that you want to continue to keep at this point in time, in a way. Like, is it time to start looking at getting off Morgan Smithies? He's 500K. His average so far is 51.9. He got 45 on the weekend, so he's not leaking too much cash at all, if he will leak any. He's probably
Yeah,
going to stay around that for a while, in my opinion. That's just pretty much him. This is what we're going
yeah,
to get. And okay for a number, in my opinion, but I feel like we're going to get to the stage now where we've got the likes of like Fafita, Olaquati when he's back. Crichton, if no one has him yet, looks like he's going to start playing some great football. But
mhm.
I feel like some of these big dogs are sort of starting to come to the surface, and someone like Morgan Smith is actually starting to look like a bit of a sell to me.
Yeah. He's definitely regressing in appeal as far as that goes. Obviously he started at 345, and he's made his cash. He's made his 150 odd K.
Mm.
He's going to hover around that 500, and I feel like from here you're going to just get very minor fluctuations. Um, his minutes seem pretty certain now. I don't think that's a problem. I think at the beginning it was always a worry about what's going to happen when Corey Horsburgh's back around. How do things rotate? How does Whitehead fit into the mix when you've got Hosking there? But obviously people are injured now. Horsburgh's been dropped for a while, and he doesn't seem like he's going to make his way back through. You can keep him. I feel like I will probably even just run with him until the buy round 13 because they do play, and I don't want to be caught out a little bit too thin when it comes to buy rounds. But if you can make something better happen, definitely, you know what I mean. Like you've made what you expected to. He's not going to be that guy that we were. He's not the new Hopgood. That's for certain. He just doesn't have the game for it. He's a bit of a bot. So if you can improve on him, 100%. I don't really see too many cheapies emerging at the moment either, like to go down for. I feel like you've sort of got to pay your way up and just take some of these center wing cashies because they're the only successful ones so far that I've seen. Proper anyway, that you can bank on. Um, Run with them, move your Strange on, move Schiller on, get in someone like your I don't know. We'll see how it runs. Jacob Gagai is going to
Armstrong.
make some good coin. Armstrong's going to make some if he keeps his spot. Like it just seems to be a constant rotating door of 204K center wings coming through, which has been really nice.
How
I
good.
remember a few weeks ago, Blaze Talungi was a must-have, and now I'm like, oh, how did I waited a week? There's four more that have popped out of nowhere. So get these guys, flip them, improve your second rows into guns, and you'll be laughing. But it's not urgent. It's not urgent. His break even's not massive. He hasn't come out and scored 10 in a week. Like he hasn't been knocked out early concussion and ruining his points. Like his break even's 50. I think it's
Mm.
50. It's 54. No, sorry, his break even's 65. So you expect him to lose a little bit, maybe 10.
Lose a little bit.
Yeah, he might lose a little bit, and then he'll probably make it up in the next couple of weeks' time. So you're going to be getting someone for 500. It's not urgent. Where you got strangers break evens 100, and like he won't hit that most likely anymore. So yeah, I think that if you got bigger fires to put out, Smithies is definitely isn't one of them. But if you're in a good position, and someone's just in reach, just yeah, do it. Someone with a better ceiling. Um,
Next
but yeah, there's a few of them.
Next game up, the Brisbane Broncos versus the Sydney Roosters. Suncorp Stadium. This is going to be a cracker. I've got this up as probably the game of the year so far. I'm actually really, really looking forward to this game. Both teams flying after really good wins on the weekend. Looking like they're starting to find some form, know that they need to put their foot down a little bit, which is only good for us watchers and myself as a neutral for this game. But both Ezra Mam and Selwyn Cobbo returned for the Brisbane Broncos. That means obviously Jock Madden falls out of the team, and so does Corey Oates because Jesse Alters moves back to his wing spot. For the Sydney Roosters, Daniel Tupou returns, which means Joseph Suaalii shifts back to the centres with Michael Jennings moving out of the team. Interestingly, Victor Radley has been named on the extended bench. So just keep an eye on that, guys. I don't think he'd name him on the extended bench just for the sake of it. So that could be one to watch, and they definitely need him. He's been very, very good this year, Victor Radley. So I have a feeling if he's available, fit to play, he will play. So keep an eye on that. Obviously, Siwa Wong, very popular cheapie, not really a cheapie, but very popular player at the start of the year, is back on the bench still. And we've got Terrell May. So normally we go back and we'll talk about the Broncos. I actually want to talk about the Roosters. Terrell May, what is doing 2 weeks in a row where it's just been scores where we just start scratching our head. 3 weeks ago, I was so comfortable having him as one of my starting front rowers, and I just thought I was set, and I was set and forgetting basically. It's now getting to the point where he's starting to lose a bit of cash. I'm getting concerned because if this continues, if I continue to keep him as well, I'm going to not be able to trade him to anyone worthy of a starting spot. So I'm in two minds. Do I hold the the faith because of his points per minute and just hope either it's harsh to say, but an injury to one of the middles again, which increases his minutes, or that Trent Robertson stops playing games with his middles and stuff and just goes back to saying what he said a few weeks ago. It was only a few weeks ago as well that he's so comfortable having him play that 40-minute stint in the second half. He literally just lets him do it. So I don't know what to do with him, Jesse. I know we've both got him, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's been my biggest headache this week, to be honest, man. I didn't expect it either. He wasn't a player that I was ever, having any intention to trade off too. He's been really solid. The problem is, like, it's not his output. His points per minute are still great, and when he's on, he still does a lot of work, but he's not getting his second stint. I don't know why. I think, you know what I actually think it is, and I'll put my tinfoil hat on for it. That reporter that brought up Supercoach to Trent Robinson, because he hates it. He hates Supercoach. There's so many coaches that hate it too. He brings up Supercoach. I think Tarome goes, Robinson goes on. He goes, all right, let's have a look. See what's going on. Who's heavily owned in my side? Oh, this bloke. Oh, Terrell May. Fuck him. One stint. That'll teach those super coaches. That'll learn them. So maybe he's just doing it
Game
to get back at
reporter.
us. Yeah. Look, man, I don't know. He's played. These are the minutes in the last few because his points per minute. You're looking 1.1, 1.2, pretty comfortable stuff. 27 minutes last week against the Dragons. 30 minutes against Melbourne. 50 against the Knights. Fair enough. It was a really good game. He scored 86. But then the Dogs 20 minutes, and that was that really heavy rain game. One where Dom Young got binned, and rotation was thrown out of shit. So you have to sort of write that game off. But the next three, well, I don't understand the last two. I really don't get it. And I'm in two minds now because his break even's up at 96, something like that. It's the Broncos. They're playing the Broncos, a very, very dominant forward pack. He's coming up against Haas and Carrigan. Surely he gets more minutes. Like, surely he gets minutes, man. You have to think so. But Picture Radley comes back. Where does Watson go? Who drops out? That has to benefit them in a way because Radley's been playing 80 minutes. So you'd think surely that May get some minutes back. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if it's worth waiting the risk either, waiting this week and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Because I know it could be one
I,
of those look at back in 8 weeks' time and go, oh, he just had those 2 random weeks. I'm glad I held him. That's what I'm worried about. But
if I can free up some cash this week, like there's part of me that wants to hold some trades this week, but there's also parts of me that maybe wants to. I feel like I'm getting into a corner where if I do change May, I'll have to go cheaper somewhere. Whether that's probably Schiller at this point and go for maybe a week early on Armstrong or something, just to free up quite a nice chunk of cash, and then look for one of the top 2 or 3 props and just stick with them and just hope they get through. Whether it's AFB, whether it's Payne Haas, AFB, obviously with Origin and stuff and not being impacted by that is a big play for mine, and that has appeal to it. Where Payne Haas, you probably miss a number of weeks with him through Origin and maybe resting and things like that. So definitely some stuff to think about there. Special shout out as well to Angus Crichton, big 100, I think it was 116 or something on the weekend, massive. If you don't have him, I don't want to say he's a must because we just don't know what's happening with the Roosters. Like he might be a must this week, and then next week somehow he's on the bench, just knowing what Trent Robinson's done this year. So Sua Wong might be back there starting. So, but just if you have got him, credit to you. You might have listened to us, so we might have said something. But for the Broncos, quickly, I want to ask you, Jesse, because you're a Reece Walsh owner.
I am.
And I was, and then last minute I changed him over to Turbo. Obviously, Reece Walsh did score more. I think Reece Walsh ended up with like an 86 or something, was it, on the weekend?
70 something.
Oh, 70 something. So, and that was 2 tries, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was 74.
My
it was
question
74.
for you, are you happy as a Reece Walsh owner? Because he, once again, I know he had cramps towards the back half of the game, which really hampered him the last 15 or 10 minutes. But before that, he was everywhere once again, and he was sparking the attack. He was scoring. He was making a line break. I look at that and just think for 74, I'd be disappointed. I'm actually kind of glad I got off him because I just think he's a bit of a headache. And I just feel like he just make you stress for no reason.
Yeah.
Granted, Turbo's the same.
Yeah, of course. Turbo hasn't been anywhere this year, man. It's been a problem. I'm actually glad I kind of don't have him because it would be a headache, and I don't feel as bad about getting off Reece Walsh eventually as I would getting off Turbo because I just don't see him as the same. He got 2 tries. Walsh, he had a few tackle busts, a couple line break assist. He would have had a try assist had Mariner not just bombed the easiest try of all time. So another line break assist, another try assist. He ends on 100. You know what I mean? I've come to understand, like, I've worked, with Walsh, you worked it out a long time ago. We've said it heaps of times too. The reason why I wasn't a fan of him, especially 800K where he started, is that it's all attack. There's nothing else. But at 600K, I'm very interested in him. To the point that, yeah, I happily traded him in. I wasn't really looking at too many others. I was looking at Pappenhausen, to be fair, and Pappenhausen scored more, which is fine. But
Thanks, Pappy.
But yeah, for an 80K difference, for an extra 15 or so points, which Walsh would have got too. That's the thing. Like, I'm not blown out by it, but for 600K, you know, I'm not expecting hundreds every week. If he can get me a 70 and 80, he's not my main guy. Like, I've got Scott Drinkwater for this run now, and I'm very keen for it. It was a great cash down option from Ponga, and it allowed me to get Cleary in. He didn't do too great, but I've got Cleary. Like, I'm sitting pretty with that. So that's fine. But the thing is with Walsh, it's like, okay, he doesn't have any base. Fair enough. He just does so much in attack. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, he's
Who cares if
everywhere.
he doesn't have a base? He'll get a line break for nothing. And then it's like, all right, cool. You've got to make 10 tackles for a similar sort of thing than that. It's like, all right, I'll just get him to do these little bursts where he gets them. But the only thing that annoys me is that he fucking cramps so fast, man. Every single game I see him at the end cramping up. I'm like, what are you doing, mate? What's going on? Sort it out. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not too confident this week with him against the Roosters, to be honest. But we'll see. They've let some points in recently, so he might get something out of it.
We will see. First game for the Saturday, the Canterbury Bulldogs versus the West Tigers, and a game that can go either way, really. I think both teams are showing a bit of promise this year. They look for their fans to look forward to moving into the future. I think the Dogs do look a bit better at the moment. Kurt Mann has been named to at lock from a stint on the sideline with his hand injury. Jacob Preston's been named on the reserve, so keep an eye out for him. Blake Taft and Bailey Haywood do remain on the bench for now, but yeah, just keep an eye on Jacob Preston. And Connor Tracy is still your fullback there, so they've obviously stuck with Bronson Sherry and Stephen Crichton at centre, and Jacob Carraz is named on the wing, which I know a lot of super coaches, including Jesse, who's been a fanboy now for some time, is pretty wrapped about because he obviously gets through quite a bit of work at fullback. For the Tigers, 1 to 17. Appy has been named, but just monitor his back at the moment. Obviously, been playing up for the Tigers, and I think if there any chance to win this game, they need Appy to play. Personally, obviously, I've still got Dill Brown, and I've got he's on the bye, and I've got Lockie Galvin. So, hoping Galvin does enough. I'm not that worried, to be honest. He has been scoring still decently for a young gun. So, not fussed by putting him at 5'8", but I guess it's not ideal, but it's okay. Lucky Galvin, come on, against the Tigers, against the Dogs, you can do something. So nothing to talk about really for the Tigers. But really. For the Bulldogs, your man, I'll let you talk about him. Jacob Carraz, off you go.
I can't sing his praises enough, can I? Every time. Yeah, on the wing, fantastic. He's been quite popular actually this week amongst the trade-ins. So yeah, he's 627k. He has a break-even of 20, which he will absolutely demolish. And yeah, he just puts in monster amounts of work. So best position for him to be in is the wing. He's been doing well in the centers too, to an extent anyway. Enough to be happy about. But yeah, big 101 right before a bye. I was actually going to bring him in that week, but I'd thought he's got a bye next week. I'll just wait. Cop 101. But yeah, he's definitely on my radar this week. I've tabled a few trades up. I think I might need a boost to get him in. So I don't know if it's really something I want to be doing too much.
Would that be your last boost?
Nah, I've got 2 at the moment. So just burn them through them. Just burn them to the ground. I'd boost for Carraz.
Thanks, star.
Yeah, give me another one, please. Make up for the Brayley. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, he's definitely a solid buy option. If you can make it happen, if you want to get off someone like Strange or Schiller, and you've just got to find a little bit more. Yeah, I love it. He's got the Tigers this week. They've got the Panthers next week. So I can't imagine too many stats attack-wise out of that one, but base is his thing. You know what I mean? Like, he'll get you 50 just in runs, tackle bust. They're going to be booting it into the corner most of the time. So he's going to be getting a fair few runs out of that. You just can't go wrong in any department for him. He's incredible. And then they've got the Raiders, St. George, Newcastle, playing in round 13 against Newcastle. So good buys. Playing the Eels in 14. They have their own bye in round 15. Yeah, killing them. They have their own bye in 15, so it's not on a bye round, but they play 16, 17, 18, and then they've got the 19 bye. So the Bulldogs bye run schedule is actually really good.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I've been doing a little mini amount of bye round planning, just having a look at who's viable for it. We'll do a specific video about it because it does get quite in depth. But the Bulldogs have a decent little fixture run, so you can stick with him for a long time. I don't think you'll get him cheaper than this at all for the rest of the year, unless he has an injury and drops into the 400s like he did last year. But yeah, jump on, ride the wave.
I agree. Next game up, we promise we'll try and get through this quickly for you guys. We haven't succeeded in that so far, but here we are. You know what we're like by now. That's why you love us. Gold Coast Titans against the Melbourne Storm. For the Titans, 2 changes, even though they won last week, their first win of the season. Alofiana Khan-Piera and Aaron Shoup replaced by Philip Sami and Harley Smith-Shields, who are both back in the side. Harley Smith-Shields, after injuring himself in the warm-up last weekend. So Mo Fodawaker is out due to concussion as well, with Joe Stimson named to start in the front row for the Melbourne Storm. Obviously, Xavier Coates is out with a hamstring injury. My draft team takes a bit of a hit. He was looking. I have him in one of my draft teams, and he's got that early hat trick, and I'm thinking this is the only reason I had him, because I know he has those moments where he can score like 4 or 5 tries and just go off his head. And I'm just sitting there pretty going, here we go, here we go. And it was just to peel back the curtains, guys. This was in a comp, and the guys will know who I'm talking about. But he VC'd Sam Walker on the weekend, and everyone knows how that went. He got like 300 odd once all the updates and that came through, and I was shitting myself. I messaged in the chat. I said, "Good work, mate. You got the win this week, and let's just hope I can close the gap to a respectable margin for points differential, etc." And I just kept every game, just for some of my players just kept turning up, and like it's Xavier Coates. I was thinking, oh, here we go. This could be juicy. He could get me back straight away here. And I actually played the VC on him. So I played a big call, and I was just thought, oh, if he can get me up towards that 100, 110 mark, I might have done it. But yeah, credit to you, Xavier. I know you went off injured, but it's sort of a story of what could have been. Apart from that, Tyron Wishart actually is named to replace him on the wing, which is crazy in my opinion, but he's the Mr. Everywhere man for the Melbourne Storm, and we know that Bellamy loves these sorts of players that just basically can do anything on the field and would do anything for him. But that's it for that game. Not a whole heap for mine sticks out for this one. I'm not really looking, apart from, let's talk about David Fafita. He's back to his David Fafita self, and it's very scary not owning him and not looking like I have a plan in place to get him either. Looks very concerning for me, because as good as he is, and as good as I know he can be and probably will be, I just don't see it in my power to get him in. Like, I don't know what it is either. Like, I just feel like I'm crazy for it. I can't make it happen.
Yeah, he's in one of my many trade screenshots this week. I can do it. I can definitely do it. But at the same time, you're not far away from Origin. The Titans have a horrible bye fixture, especially for Origin players. There's a chance he misses 5 games out of the next 10. You know what I mean? Like, for 800K, it's not good. You might get, in those games, he's going to kill it. You might get 500 points out of him in the games he does play, which is insane. But at the same time, it's like, do you really want to have that much money invested in one player who's not going to play, many games in the next 3 months? Like, I just don't know. It's hard. You got to sort of, last week would have been an ideal time to do it because you can ride that through. But he's going to score well. He's always going to do that. You just got to accept it. People that have him are going to enjoy it. If you want to get on him, do it, and then you just got to get off in a few weeks' time. It's not worth holding him, because resting, rotations, is he going to drop price? He's one of those guys where it's almost worth just not, if you've got him, you've committed that amount of coin to him, just keep him and let the price drop. At least you haven't wasted trades going back and forth. So yeah, I don't know. It's not worked out for Fafita this year. We missed him for too long at the beginning. By the time he got back, it's too late. By the time his price changes, he's only going up too. I was hoping for a drop. Never really happened. Yeah, I don't know yet. Maybe it'll definitely, he's an absolute must lock-in guarantee in my side after Origin. I just don't know if I'll do it before then. I don't think I can really justify it. Bit of a shame.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Quick one, just on Melbourne. What do you reckon the chances are that Farlogo comes in on the wing for Wishart?
Well, this is the thing I actually noticed on the weekend. I was tuned in. I was bored or something, and the New South Wales Cup was on, and the Bears were playing. And that's obviously Melbourne Storm's feeder team. And I noticed it was on the wing, and I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on there? And then it sort of made sense to me the day afterwards. I was like, oh, when I heard that the Xavier Coates was injured, I was like, oh, okay. And then I see here he's in the reserves. There could be something there. So just keep an eye on the late mail and things like that, the extended squad, and when he gets cut, if he's still part of it. And shout out Sua, you're a very great guy. To the page you're always replying and stuff. And interacting with myself with some things. I always ask him some questions and that. And I'm not going to ask you. He's going to. I won't do that to players and stuff. But
You playing
give
this
me a
week?
hint. Give me a hint. Give me a hint if you can.
Just like
But
one of my
no.
really old photos, if you are.
Yes.
Something random.
Just yeah, I don't mind it because Tyron Wishart for mine will get found out a lot. Like he did a job on the weekend when he had to just go rush in there for a half and do that, but I don't think he's a long time play on the wing either.
No.
Move on to the next game. Just quickly a shout out to Cameron Munster, who was back to his brilliant best on the weekend, and anyone that has him, anyone that went all in on that play, whether it's drafts or the like, credit to you because he's an absolute gun and showed it on the weekend. No, the North Queensland Cowboys versus the Dolphins, so a Queensland derby. For the Cowboys, Hillam Lukey is back from his ankle injury. He has been named on the bench, which sees Jake Granville. He's actually dropped out of the side. I didn't think this day would come. Jake Granville just feels like he's non-stop playing in this team, always finds a way to play, whether it's fullback, whether it's hooker, whether it's prop. He's everywhere. So to drop him, that's a big call, Toddy Payton. Like we might go in on you on that one.
It's like dropping your mascot.
You just don't do it. He's
couldn't
been
believe
there
it.
Always.
Yeah, I could not believe it.
Oh.
Yeah, insane after the amount of shit we've spoken.
Geez.
Yeah, it's good to see Lukey back. That injury kind of just passed by, didn't it? Crazy how fast the year's
kind of
gone.
did.
Yeah, I remember he went
know,
out
it's
round
already
2.
round 9.
Yeah, bang, gone. There he is. You're like, holy shit. When I saw him in the team list, I was like, no way. Has it really been that long? 7
It's not
weeks
going
or
quick
something
enough.
like that.
As a Para fan,
Yeah.
I just want it to be over. But
Well, you know what? You're getting 2 points this week, so congratulations on 2 points. You need it.
By the way, Tom Chester is officially out, guys. So he's that hamstring injury, unfortunately. And Viliami Vailea, so he's come over from the Warriors. I had big raps on Vailea. I think he's a very, very good player. How he'll fit into this Cowboy system, who does not want to defend, it seems like, for the life of him. They're just letting so much points. There's just something about the Cowboys, even from a Supercoach point of view. I'm still looking at them. I'm still tempted by people like Scott Drinkwater. I'm actually even tempted at the moment to go. If DC was ruled out, I was actually tempted to already get rid of Turbo, as crazy as it sounds. And with the Cowboys run coming up, but with the Cowboys run coming up compared to Manly, I was ready to go all in on Scott Drinkwater fullback, but I think I'll hold off on that one for now. For the Dolphins, Felice Kafusi returns, hamstring injury. Kenny Bromwich is out. Connolly Lemuelu is also back from an injury onto the bench. So a couple of little changes there. Hold off on Valea. I don't think it's a play, but if you kept Lukey, it's a bit annoying that he's on the bench. I think that's because purely off the fact that Finifinoaki was so good on the weekend. Like I think he's got an 80 odd or something. Helped me win that draft game I spoke about. He was huge. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I was very tempted on him. I never ended up doing it. Glad I probably have it now because obviously Lukey will eat into the minutes. They'll probably, I don't know. I feel like they're going to share it now. I feel like this could be a bit of a headache.
I feel like with Lukey, it was always a minutes risk was his problem, like his points per minute were great. And when those games where he played 60 plus, he was averaging over 70. It was really impressive. But again, it was always the fact where Nanai will play the 80, will Lukey. And we don't know yet, really, because he didn't play much of a sample size to check it on. But yeah, I don't see it being too far away before we see Lukey starting, Finifawaki on the bench, and then them just rotating, pretty much like we were expecting them to in round 1 and 2. So I think it's just going to go back to the way it was, just without Granville in the way.
I agree.
Besides that, there's not too much else going. I feel like I'm going to run Scott Drinkwater, honestly, until the end of the year. Genuinely. I just don't see any way to get off him, not for the next. Fixtures are great. No origin. Comes out the back of it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a rush getting. It's just, he scored pretty bad last week, which is to be expected. No one scores good at fullback against the Panthers. Exactly. So I'll take the 39. His break even was already so high. It's like 140 going into that game. So he lost almost 100K in a week. Just accept it and move on. He'll make it back eventually.
Look
But
at
yeah,
this. So he's got the Dolphins,
yeah,
Titans, South, Tigers, and then the Roosters, which you might go, oh, that's not good, but that's Origin as well. So they're
yeah.
likes of maybe Crichton, Teddy, Sorliti's getting talked about. You don't know who else that might be there. Depending on Terrell May, he might be a bit of a roughie for mine on the New South Wales bench. Yeah, like that's going to be a weakened Roosters outfit as well.
Collins
That
is gone too, actually.
Collins as well. Sorry, yep. So yeah, that's an interesting one. It is away though.
Yeah.
The Cowboys aren't a very good away team. But in saying that, Drinkwater has scored very well in away fixtures, even though his team doesn't seem to handle the occasion. So yeah, I'm tempted. As I said, like it just seems stupid to do, but
Don't do it.
I freak out. I freak out not having him.
Yeah. No, it's like I think everyone gets FOMO when they see fullbacks play they don't own. You know, like I do it all the time with Turbo. I've done it every game thinking, is this the game that he scores 180 points? Evidently not. Doesn't seem like he's anywhere near it at the moment, but it still doesn't stop me stressing out. I think the fullback to talk about at the moment is Trey Fuller.
Yes, please.
His last two games have been incredible. His work rate is insane. You know, he seems to be everything you want out of a Supercoach fullback at 200k as well, minus 145 or something break even. He has everything. It's all written in the stars, but I still really don't like it. I don't like the play. I don't think it's a position to really be jumping into the cash side of things. Obviously, last year I did it. I did it with Buller, but it was much more certain with Buller last year. And
Mm.
obviously, it was a much longer play. It looked like it wasn't any, means around for him not to be in that position. Where Fuller is a placeholder on a not even a full contract, trialing, filling in at the moment with an exemption. It's like he's literally good for like maybe a week or two. Um, and then that's it. You know, he's run his course. So if you're gonna do it, it's obviously just a very quick cash grab. I can understand the likes of Ponga last week to Fuller, wait it out, wait for Drinkwater to drop price, make 200-300k, flip him, and just a really smart way of budgeting and fullback trade dropping and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it now. And then I suppose the headache is like, who do you drop? Everyone's got guns. Everyone's got two guns, and if you've got them, like,
Mm.
who are you going to drop? If you've held on to Ponga, I can understand that for a week. Again, it's two trades to make 100. Well, I think if he walks out there, he's going to make you about 160k. So he's going to do something pretty good. It's just for how long? I mean, like it's literally in 1 week, out another. I don't know. What do you
I'm with
reckon?
you. I don't agree with it. I know a lot of people out there are wanting to do it. I don't see it. I probably prefer Armstrong. I think he's got a longer playing time with Ponga out for what I think it's 3 months. And I think I've seen some stuff today that it could even be the year for Ponga. They might even just let him chill out depending on what the night season's looking like and really get himself right for a big crack next year. But I'm with you. I've always said this year, I just want two gun fullbacks no matter what. I'm not going to play around with that. I think the position's too key now in Supercoach to risk it. You sort of made the point with Buller. Like that was an extended run that we all knew what we were getting with Buller, and the Tigers were playing decent footy. For the Dolphins, Hammer is even like for mine. Hammer's only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah,
Hasn't been talk he's going to be missing Origin either, so he's clearly only a matter of weeks away. So even if he can get some time or some playing time there, Fuller, I think it's a trap in a way, and it's hard to say that because he's getting so much money. To call him a trap, people will probably sit there and listen to us and probably throw their phone against a wall or something. But I say that because if you do downgrade to him, you're going to find it so hard to then change back to a gun because it's the price difference is still going to be so much. It's still going to be like a 400 price gap from Fuller to a gun fullback, and it's so hard at the moment to be finding that sort of cash. I feel like it's near impossible because it's starting to get to that point as we're talking about. You want to get those guns in certain positions, and like we're talking about front row forward, getting a gun in there, which at the start of the year, that was never anyone's plan. But now that's what people are starting to plan for, because now what we're into with Supercoach is we're starting to get into that patch where we just want to hit stick. We want to try and reduce trades for a while. We know buyers coming out where we get the extra trades and stuff, where we'll probably go a bit bonanza there. If we can get someone like Fanua Blake in and stuff and just sit with cash and whatever, like we'll sit down and have $900 left. Fuller for mine, just not a play.
Nah, not really. It's not a long-term thing. You're just going to be wasting it. And I think for the sake of 100 odd K, we've seen it already this season. How many have there been? You know what I mean? Like, there's been so many popping up. Like, I don't expect too many more, but I didn't expect that 3-4 weeks ago. You know, Armstrong's come out of nowhere. Even, randomly, like you got Sasagi who had a stint. A lot of people jumped on Sasagi thinking dual position, second row in the center wings, scoring really well. He's been dropped. And now you've got an issue of having someone who made 100K, fair enough, which is nice. But he's made 100K from 200 to 300. It's like he was literally, it's a cash down option. You're going to have to go from him down another one and down another one. At some point, you're going to run out of players to go down to. So, yeah, if you've done it, like
the other thing is if he was dual and he had a center wing with him, I'd probably do it.
Yeah.
That's more attainable for me. I'd probably swap him for Schiller in a heartbeat. It just makes sense, but
yeah,
I can't do it. And don't, guys, as we've said so many times, and I'll just echo it one more time, if you got someone like Garrick, don't move him down to fullback to accommodate or something and do things, or vice versa. Like, just don't, please.
Yeah,
Just don't
there are situations where it does make sense to if you're waiting a week for someone else. I think the Ponga thing kind of did catch people out. A lot of people wanted to go to Drinkwater this week. That's kind of I've seen it everywhere. Like it was wait on Ponga, sell him, move Garrick or move Kyle Ero or one of these dual position fullbacks down just to fill a spot, get someone who's a gun, and then work your way around it with the intention of having cash to move that position away, just for flexibility. But if you plan on running them full time, like they're definitely better off in the center wing. It's a shame he doesn't have it because he would definitely be in there, and you can go from him somewhere else comfortably. But being fullback, your hands are tied. Like, where do you go from him in 2 weeks' time? You're gonna have to gut your team elsewhere to get someone who's 400K more, like Reece Walsh. You know what I mean? By then he'll be that price different, and that's too much. And he's not really someone you want to be jumping to, but get him where they can, cheap enough.
Moving on to a player that I was talking about that does interest me, the Newcastle Knights versus the New Zealand Warriors. For the Newcastle Knights, Jacob Saifidi has overcome a lower leg injury and will start. Jed Cartwright's been named on the bench despite rolling his ankle. Pretty much the 17 is basically what I should say. There's a lot of just jargon in there that doesn't even need to be said. So David Armstrong is the guy we will talk about. For the Warriors, though, Kurt Capewell returns, which means Jacob Laban back to the bench. Bunny Afoa is also back on deck. Let's quickly talk about David Armstrong. For mine, I'm a lot more interested. I know we can still wait a week. I just feel like he's a guy where you're going to get points from him. So even if you don't wait the extra week, it's okay, because I feel like he's there. I feel like if he's young, and if they weren't keen on persisting with him, they wouldn't have gone there. Like, Dane Gagai was fit. We've all seen that would have been a safe play for Dane Gagai to go and play fullback. They didn't do that. So I just think that they've told David Armstrong, and I saw like posts from Ponga and stuff, they were really getting behind him in his story and stuff. So the way the players are and the way they reacted when he scored that try, I just think he's their play at the moment. They're going to stick with him, stick solid, and I like that. So I'm more than happy to look at David Armstrong to generate some cash flow and maybe go from the Schiller to the David Armstrong, which we will talk about tomorrow in the trade side of things. But I think that'd be a very popular move this week.
Yeah, I think so too. I was looking at, if I'm going to do any moves this week, especially boost wise, it's going to be going to him now. I'm much more confident in him than I would be with a Fuller, just for that, job security side of things. I don't see Ponga being back this season, not with that foot injury. It looks pretty bad. So be very surprising. The only thing that has got me a little hesitant is the fact that he wasn't the fullback for the New South Wales Cup side. Sharp was. I think it's Fletcher Sharp. So he's injured currently, or he's out, whatever the reason is. And yeah, he was their first choice fullback in that position. So that's the only thing that's got me a little bit uncertain. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's going to be one of those he plays 2-3 weeks and then they get this other guy. But at the same time, like, if he can do what he did last week, he's got no reason to be dropped. It's very impressive. Shit ton of runs, a lot of tackle bars, and he got a try. So yeah, he does. He looks the goods. I'm definitely keen enough to do it this week. So, but again, you can't afford to wait a week. It's just um,
Yeah.
more so Schiller. Like, I think Schiller being dropped, there's no rush to get him if that's your one play because he's not going to lose any, and Armstrong's not going to make any. But if you had someone like Strange in your center wing, who's about to drop about 50, 60K, maybe more. Again, I don't hate it, but yeah, if he's not there in 2-3 weeks' time, it'd be another one that you're just like shit. But he gets replaced by someone, so glad
I
he has center
agree.
wing.
For
That's the
the
best part.
Yeah, yeah, that was just great to see. For the Warriors, I just want to say this. I don't want to say too much on the Warriors. They're just so up and down at the moment. I wish I didn't even go for DWZ, but I'm with him at the moment. Aiden Fanua-Blake, you are an out and out super coach, superstar, and you're nothing short of an absolute freak. You are so good, and it's so crazy to think like I want to trade in my front row forwards, but he's playing that well and he's that good. I just feel like I just need to get on board.
Yeah, yeah. 2 tries from a prop. He scored how many tries already this year? How
It's
many tries did he
just
score last
ridiculous.
year? Like, it's not, oh, you can't rely on his tries. I'm like, you know what? You can rely on his tries. He's the only one that scores them. And I think it just puts him in a class above. You know what I mean? Like, he might not have the base of a Payne Haas, but he's not far off it. And then when he gets that try, like Haas scored a try on the weekend too, and he scored 70. Admittedly, it was coming back from a long layoff, but there's no one that can do what Fanua Blake can do, man. He's a weapon. And I think his price is still quite good, 725. I'm looking at May to Fanua Blake this week. That's
Yep.
that's my go. I think I'm pretty locked into it. If and the thing is too, like I wouldn't hate it if May come out and scored 60 points because I'd have Fanua Blake, and that's fine by me. It's a good stepping stone to get to that gun that you can ride with for the whole year. So I wouldn't hate it, but yeah, he's an absolute weapon. God bless him. Glad we have someone like that.
I agree. We
So
will talk about him a bit more tomorrow night. I feel like the last game, Cronulla Sharks versus the St. George Illawarra Dragons, a Sunday Arvo game. Traditional rivals. Shane Blingen's already added spices to this one. For the Sharkies, Toby Rudolph returns in place of Tapahua. So he's off the bench. So Toby Rudolph, a big inclusion. For the Dragons, Moses Sully is sidelined with the concussion protocols. Zach Lomax shifts into the centres. Ravalawa returns from a knee injury as well, so he goes on to the wing. I was a bit worried with Zach Lomax moving to the centre. I'm just a bit worried now with Zach Lomax with the Dragons after conceding over 50. They've made officially the list for us here at League of Inches. And I don't know where to go now. Like, I didn't get on him in the end, and I kind of don't think I'll be looking to get on him either now. I think the boat sort of sailed for Zach Lomax. What are your thoughts with him?
yeah, look, he's at 790K. Like I don't like buying anyone at that price, especially not absolute out and out proven lifetime guns. Like I'm happy to spend 800 on Fafita or anyone of the like, but
Cleary.
yeah, any of those guys, man, they've done it forever. He's on the way back down. He had a 62, admittedly in a bashing to get a 62. Like it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He's just been steadily on the down since basically since round 5. He's just been going down and down and down to a 62. So it's been still pretty decent. Still has that origin smokiness looming about. Whether or not he gets picked for it by form, probably should. But yeah, I'm not going to rush to get him in. If the moment arises at some point in the year, I might look into it. But I think the ship's sailed for now. Might be all right to get on him as a bit of a smoky one because there's not really many people going for him actively anymore. He's traded him by 165 this week, so it's not huge, but I'm still trying to work out this bloody new format to try and work out where everything is. He's in
Oh, don't start there.
yeah, it's a whole different thing. He's in 13% of teams, so ownership's decent. It's not astronomical. Um, the run coming up isn't too bad. I know that there's a buy somewhere in the midst, but yeah, they play the Sharks this week. It's always a big game when the Dragons play the Sharks. They got the Rabbits, the Dogs, then a bye in 3 weeks time. It's their bye. Then they get the Dogs, Panthers, Tigers, and then we can keep going from there. So like, it's not too bad. The bye kind of hurts, and then Panthers 2 weeks later. It's like,
Panthers are Origin time as well, so that they won't have the
oh,
likes of
true.
Cleary and
Yeah,
Co. So
yeah. But
that
then
could make
Dragons
it a
will
bit
also
easier.
be out. They'll be without Ben Hunt.
Ben Hunt.
A couple others. It does make a massive difference to that side, Hunt, especially with the amount of kicks that Lomax works off. That's kind of half his appeal is how much he can catch a ball from anywhere. You can kick a ball and he'll run half an hour and still catch the thing. So yeah, I don't know. I don't love it for now.
I agree. Finally, just on the Sharkies, first of all, Nico Hines, you are a Supercoach god. Welcome back. We've missed you. It's good to have you, and I'm so glad I did keep you. And it was pretty much forced because there were so many spot fires to put out earlier in the Supercoach season that I was forced to keep you. I'll be honest and say I wanted to sell you, but I'm so glad I got put into the corner. And I just thank you. I'm sorry I doubted you the week before, but I won't doubt you again, and I'll probably
Yeah.
already say now you'll be getting to see again this week against the Dragons team that could they go back to back 50 points, the form that the Shark is in. I don't, I couldn't question that happening. But I just want to quickly ask you, Blake Brayley,
Yeah.
um, obviously hurt you on the weekend, so it's a touchy subject. But I feel like hookers are a position this year that people are happy to take some risks on in a way because the difference between like a Harry Grant, for instance, who still hasn't really like on the weekend was a great game. You got a 90 odd, and not many hookers can produce that. But the rest of them are sort of all around the same sort of point scheme of things. And Blake Brayley, majority of the time, will play your 80-minute hooker. Is he any appeal, or is it sort of just a flash in the pan on the weekend? It's because the Sharks are playing good. He finally looked like he was a bit more of an attacking hooker, which we haven't seen for a while. Maybe that was because of Braden Trindle being out as well. But where do you stand on Blake Brayley?
Look, there's not too many 80-minute hookers left, so he obviously gets a bit of appeal there. Admittedly, I don't know where he got those attacking stats from this week, so I'm not going to count them, even though he did get those points and he did beat me. That 89, it could have been a 60, you know what I mean? So it's still decent and it's a lot in base. It's a different one. Like you'd never really expect to run with Blake Brayley and, expect too much out of him. He's owned by 4% of teams. I just Yeah, at 650 now, all the hookers have basically leveled at the exact same price. From Grant
Mm.
to, even the mid tiers. Like the 650 is kind of it at the moment. This week, it's a really weird week to look at the hookers. Um, just like going by price, the most expensive hooker is 650. At that price, you've also got Blake Brayley, 655 for Egan, 654 for Brayley, 654 for Grant, 648 for Marnie, 643 for Robson, 625 for Marshall King. They are all the same. You could literally pick anyone at the moment and you will get them. So,
Wow.
which is the right one? I don't know. There's been a couple random ones. Marnie's looks incredible. So is Egan, but so is Brayley. And I think out of a lot of them, he seems the most nailed. You know what I mean? Like he never gets injured. Um, he plays every minute. He always seems to do a decent enough job. And for some reason, he's the lowest owned out of all of them. So make of that what you will. He just doesn't get looked at. Yeah, no risk about it. The only thing that is coming up is the Sharks run isn't great.
Yeah.
It doesn't look nice.
3 huge weeks.
Yeah. So obviously for him, you don't expect a great deal of attack. Maybe not. He might get, a quick play and get a try assist out of it, which has been pretty much where he's got the other attacking stats from. But the tackles are there for him. His base is pretty solid. So I would expect tackles from him always. So I don't hate it. I still think even with the buy run, like the hard run, sorry, you're probably still going to get 50s to 60s out of him. And at his price, he's the same price as everyone. So like you've had Grant all season, you know what I mean? Like you've seen a bit of ups and downs and lost a bit on him. I've had Lussick all season, and I've been doing fine. I've been doing just fine without spending an extra 250 or 300k to another hooker. That's going to do pretty much the same. Maybe he might score 20, 30 points more. Like I can live with it for the amount of money that I've saved, and I feel like it's so weird this year. I was talking to Shane actually the other day about it because he was saying he's like, my team's just fallen apart, and yeah, gun hooker. Maybe even I think he might even have two. Well, I don't even have one viable starting hooker, and I have two shitters, and I'm still running with one, and it hasn't hurt me in the slightest because the upside for hookers isn't there most weeks. So yeah,
I think Shane's just showing his inability there. Supercoach, he's just clearly not up to our level.
Hear that, Shane? It's not me talking shit this time.
Shout out, Shane.
Shout out, Shane. But yeah, yeah, you could definitely do a lot worse than Brayley. He's going to be a massive pod for head-to-heads. You're going to most likely get his points every single week because very rarely you're going to see him in another person's team. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? I didn't have my eye on him, but looking at all the prices, the fact that everyone's the same, and I had my eye on Marshall King, I just still do more than the rest, to be fair. But yeah, it's weird. When do you get
See what
6
happens.
top players in the same price bracket? It's so strange.
It's what a way. We'll end it with the hooker talk. That's what we seem to do a lot
We
here.
seem to do that.
We seem to time it just ending on hooker talk. Look, guys, we were trying to get this a bit shorter than we ended up. We will get it better. It's a new way, a new format of doing things. So glad we haven't included trades tonight. We'd be here till midnight. I get it's been filmed quite late, so we are needing to get off to bed. Again, please become a Facebook subby or subscribe on YouTube as well. There's options there. It does go a long way of helping support the page moving forward. And if you have a business or you know someone with a business, if they love their footy, they want to support some local guys doing their thing, obviously, please reach out as well. We are still looking for those sponsors there. But thanks, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow for the trades show. If you are listening, get through your trades, get through your questions, send them through. But we'll have a post up tomorrow as well about that. But yeah, thank you. Make sure you hit subscribe as well. It goes a long way helping us. Subscribe, get to that 1K for YouTube and the like. And yeah, thank you, Jesse. We will be back, no doubt, tomorrow with a shorter episode.
Oh, no, I can't bank on that. Maybe another hour. We're shockers. We are terrible.
All the time. Thanks, guys. Hope we have entertained you. See you later.